Welcome to the interruption. Please be aware that we're recording this briefing. It's more just for other people's information later. So just so you're aware, your voices may be captured in that recording. So my name is Tom O'D. I'm the program director of the BA in Visual Arts program. I'm also a teacher in the program. I teach the core courses and mostly painting and drawing courses. I'm a painter, I'm an artist myself. Most of our teachers are practicing artists, and we teach in the areas where we're most expert, I guess is the way to put it. My email address is here if you'd like to note it, but you can also find it on the website if you want to follow up with any questions directly. I'd also welcome that. Actually, I'll point out, first of all, I'm celebrating our program here, but I'm also celebrating the outcome of our program. I'm going to show some visuals through this presentation, and these are visuals captured from grad show works from our students from this year just gone and last year also. So all the images you'll see in the PowerPoint presentation are images from our students from very recent outcomes. That's the best overview of our program, actually, is the result, that the work that results from the program from our students. So feel free to ask questions about those as I go. But I've deliberately chosen examples that represent the best qualities of our program. This is a work, it's an installation. It's also a very, very intricately made cast piece of glass, like a large piece of glass about yay big, suspended in space in an installation with a light installation. So this is a good example of how our program helps students to make unusual, creative, new developments in their works. So today I'm going to focus on two main areas: the program information, again, a brief kind of general overview so you understand what the ethos and philosophy of our program is, and the intention that we have in our lessons. And then we're going to do the admissions requirements. So I'm going to briefly run you through the admissions procedures and the important dates. So I guess the important dates will be the most important element for you. That will come at the end, so you stay all the way. So in terms of program information, some applicants for our program often query this idea of visual arts. It may not be clear to everybody what we mean when we say visual arts program. Essentially what we mean is it's not focusing purely on what's sometimes called fine arts, and it's not focusing purely on design. It's a combination of both. Most of our students leave the academy with what you could call a kind of a fine art practice, but it's a practice that is very much informed by design principles. So it's a holistic approach that combines learning in fine art and design to result in what we term visual arts. We're coming from a very long tradition from the late 1800s in terms of what visual arts might be, a combination of applied arts and fine arts. In terms of our program, we aim to educate, not train. The distinction I'd like to make from that is that some programs train students for a vocational training. If you go to a design-focused institution, it might give you training in design industry. So they train someone to go into an industry and basically be a worker in an industry. We like to train somebody to be a thinker, creative thinker, to be the design leader, as opposed to the design worker. So that's the distinction we make in our program against a more vocationally led program. We encourage students to explore, develop, realize externally assigned and self-initiated creative projects, and to develop their cognitive, sensory, and emotional abilities through practice and experience to become independent, self-sufficient, creative, that's a good, self-sufficient creative personalities. What does that mean? Well, we can take it directly from our program documents. This is quite long, but I think it signifies the essentials of what we hope to achieve in the program. This is from our program document from the most recent version, but we introduced this text in 2017, 2018 when we fully revised our program and made it, in our minds, a little better. So the BA Visual Arts program at the Academy of Visual Arts is a professional degree that focuses on intensive practice-led work in the visual arts, supported by a program in general education. It emphasizes creativity, versatility, and intelligent articulation, thus enabling its graduates to enter professional, studio-based careers in such fields as studio arts, design, and craft after earning the degree. Our BA students have the opportunity to develop technical competencies, informed aesthetic judgment, and an understanding of the context in which contemporary work is created, rooted in the ever-shifting cultural climate of creative production in the studio. That's quite long-winded. Essentially, what we mean is we're very hands-on in our program. We train our students in hands-on skills in very particular areas, but we also have a core of art history and theory running through our program, where we support the students in contextualizing what they're doing. By that, I mean, if you're an artist today, mostly a young artist in Hong Kong, we have a year one student with us at the moment. If you're 18-year-olds in Hong Kong making art, well, how do you relate to art history? How do you relate to contemporary art around the world? So our art history and theory courses are designed to contextualize basically what you might be doing right now. And our practice courses are taught by practitioners, mostly practicing artists. So we have this kind of dual approach with the core of art history and theory informing what you're doing in the studio. When we designed the program, we benchmarked against leading programs around the world that we felt to be representative of excellence in the fields of visual art. And this is an overview of some of the major institutions that we benchmarked our program against. Again, I'm going quite fast here, so feel free to slow me down if you have any specific questions. You may be asking the question as you enter third level education, well, why Hong Kong? If you're interested in the visual arts, I'd argue Hong Kong is actually a very exciting place right now. When I moved to Hong Kong myself, it was over 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago now. There was like one okay museum in Hong Kong, I would say, for contemporary art. There was one international gallery that had galleries outside of Hong Kong, and there was a handful of grassroots institutions that were actually really, really good, but that middle ground was not so strong. And I would say the kind of institutional contemporary art space was not so strong in Hong Kong. Right now, we have West Kowloon Cultural District, M+ Museum, Taekwondo Contemporary. We have Art Basel Hong Kong visiting once every year. We also have Art Central. We have Sotheby's and Christie's having quite large auctions in Hong Kong. Now, okay, none of us will be buying the work in Christie's and Sotheby's, likely, but they do showcase the work. They have exhibitions where you'll see an exhibition of the physical work of great artists, pretty much maybe 2 or 3 times a year. So we have the opportunity to see this work with our own eyes, which is very important. We also have a substantial number of international galleries now in Hong Kong. There's around 10 galleries who have an outpost in Hong Kong, but also in New York, in London, in Tokyo, other places around the world. So Hong Kong is a very, very exciting hub for the visual arts right now, I would argue, based on my own experience. Why Hong Kong? Maybe for the scene. Why AVA? Why BAVA? Well, we feel like we have a very strong cohort of graduates from our program. Our program is running almost 20 years now, little 20 years or so. So we've had a lot of graduates from our program who've made an enormous impact around Hong Kong and around the world. So even in terms of visual art education, a lot of our graduates are now teachers in secondary schools in Hong Kong, so training the next generation. We've also had some of our graduates represented in pretty prestigious institutions. We've had a graduate represent Hong Kong in the Venice Biennale last year, 2 years ago. We have had our graduates featured in prominent international Biennale, Venice Biennale, Taipei Biennale, Bangkok Biennale as just 3 examples. We've had our graduates featured in major international museums, M+, Taekwondo Contemporary, Neue National Gallery, Hamburger Bahnhof, for 4 simple examples, but there's many more. We've had our graduates represented by local and international galleries, and we've also have our graduates showcased in prominent art fairs, Art Basel, Art Central. If you go to these art fairs, when I go now, I usually bumped into around 10 or so graduates who are showcasing their work now, having become professional artists. And it's really great to see, actually. We've also had our graduates nominated and being the winners of prestigious awards, Hong Kong Art Development Award, Great Smart Young Design Talent Special Award, as 2 quick examples. In terms of the program layout, this might make no sense to you whatsoever, but it's for your information. Please don't feel like you need to understand fully, but it's a visual representation of how we design our program. Essentially, if you enter our program in year 1, we have you taking a theory and a practice core course in year 1. This is to teach you the foundations of visual art, both in terms of the contextualization, looking at art history. Of course, in year 1, it's a survey course that looks at art history thematically. So it might be a theme on art and science. And for the first 6 weeks of the semester, it will be looking at a historical view of art and science. And then in the second 6 weeks, it will look at a contemporary response to art and science. So with these courses, we hope to give a sense of a continuum over time. Very old, ancient, prehistoric art, alongside very contemporary art that's made just today or yesterday. So this is a way that we try to immerse our year one students in the field of contemporary art. And with our visual art practice, which is this course here, we have a course where we teach our students learning in 4 distinct areas of visual art. We view this as a kind of a foundational course. This is year one. The grayed out areas, these areas here, these represent university core and GE courses, general education courses. So our students are required to take a certain number of university core and GE courses. They're very beneficial. In terms of GE courses, these are courses that our visual art major course students may take in other areas to kind of round out their learning. And university core courses are the essential courses that the university feels every graduate must have. So we encourage our students to take most of those courses in year one and in year two, so they can concentrate more fully in their visual art area in the final 2 years. So in year two, our students should begin taking what we term as skills courses. These are the foundational skills that students will need to excel in different areas of practice. So it might be life drawing, it might be sculpture with wood or sculpture with metal, it might be computer aided design, it might be sound, it might be prototyping. So these are courses that our students need to take in order to progress to our level 3 courses, which we refer to as studio courses. So studio courses, these are 9-unit courses. They're courses that are taught by 3 different teachers, usually 2 practicing artists and 1 art history and theory teacher. And this way we hope that the students will further develop their conceptual understanding and also their making in a specific area. It's a way that our students can start quite broad by selecting courses they're generally interested in and then continuing their education in those specific studio areas. Then in the later years, in the senior years, we hope that this is an ideal lesson plan. Students may deviate. Our program is quite rich in the sense that our students choose their own learning path through our program. Every student will have a degree from our program. They will have a very different outcome from that, depending on their own personal professional interest. But we anticipate that our students will take their first 9-unit studio course in year 2, semester 1. This will be a further consolidation of the practical skills that they developed in the skills courses. And then our students must take 3 studio courses. The studio courses are, I'll get onto that slide in a moment. In their final years, they continue to take core courses. This is called research and practice for the visual artists. This is where the students look back at their previous 3 years, see the work that they developed through their own particular learning path, and then try to consolidate that into a sense of an artistic practice. At the end of that, we ask them to write a proposal for their honors project, which they then go on to do in their second semester in the final year. We also have a course called professional practice for the visual artists. And this is a course where we teach our students kind of soft skills that they need to excel in the field. So how to develop a portfolio, how to approach galleries and museums, how to discuss your work in person, how to write statements about your work. All these kind of things are taught in that final semester. They're actually taught all the way through our program, but this is a course where we can consolidate that learning so students can exit our program with a kind of exit velocity where they can confidently locate what they're doing in terms of art history and contemporary practice, but also confidently share what they're doing with other people, both verbally and in writing. So this is the overall plan. In the final semester, there's also the honors project. So this is the final body of work that all of our students make in their final semester. And the images I'm showing on the slideshow today are actually from those courses. This is a descriptive overview of what I've just stated. I won't dwell on this, but essentially it's just reiterating what I've just said. If you want to take a photo, good. I think we will be uploading this video onto our website later, onto our YouTube channel later. So feel free to review later also. So essentially year 1, core courses, year 2, skills courses, and also the core art history and theory course. Level 3 courses, these are our studio courses. Again, quite a large course where it's very strongly invested in students developing an individual sense of practice in an individual area. That could be sculpture, painting, prototyping, robotics and kinetics. It could be any of our areas of practice, which are listed here. So on this side, we have our general studio areas. These are the general areas that our program focuses on. We're also encouraging of students to bring their own interest in, and we will definitely support them in developing an individual practice that may not be captured here. But this is the focus of our courses that we offer. We have studio media art and craft and design concentration areas. In studio media art, we have drawing and painting and Chinese arts. We have media arts. We have sculpture with our level 3 studio courses in there. We also have graphic arts, glass and ceramics, object design, and experience design. In object design, we have object culture and robotics and kinetics. So this is very new contemporary art that artists, teachers, we're all grappling what robotics can bring to contemporary art. So in a course like this, it's quite experimental where we're experimenting with the students. This semester, we introduce a new course, a level 4 course in drone art, where one of our faculty members, who is an artist that uses drones as a sculptural device, is now teaching students how to use drones how to fly drones as an artistic practice, as a sculptural practice. So we're very much focused on developing our program to connect with very current developments. In terms of the overall faculty makeup, we have currently 21 teachers, faculty members, full-time faculty members in our program, of which 14 are male and 7 are female. That's not great, actually. Our students, you will see in the next slide, our students are 85% female, 15% male. So we would like to see much better representation, but we're just through a flux where we had some colleagues retiring, and some colleagues moving away, some other colleagues moving in. So our mix of male and female teachers just got a little bit more male in the past year, which is a bit embarrassing for us. So we're going to see what we can do. It's always a focus for us. If our students are 85% female and they're taught by majority male teachers, it's not a good signal. So this is something we keep an eye on, but we also always want to recruit based on quality, and they're very valuable. So nationalities, we have quite an internationally minded program. I'm from Ireland. I've been here over 10 years. We have colleagues from Australia, Hong Kong, China, France, Germany, Italy, South Korea, Romania, Taiwan, UK, USA currently at the moment. So what this brings is an experience from outside of Hong Kong to bring to our students, maybe different points of view, different ways of thinking, those in terms of contemporary art, but also more kind of broad-minded ways of thinking. And all of us benefit from teaching in Hong Kong, where we learn maybe ways of thinking that we wouldn't have thought of before. So it's a good mix, and it's a very healthy mix, I think. In terms of qualifications, 48% of our teachers have a more academic qualification, PhD, more scholarly qualification, and then 52% have more artistic practice-based qualification. So around 50-50, which is a good mix. In terms of the student body, we have a 1 to 16.71 teacher-student ratio, which is quite healthy. We have a lot of students in our program. We have 351, but with that many teachers, we have a ratio of around 16 to 1, which is quite good. It means that most of the teachers know most of the students, basically, by the end of either second year, third year, I would say. Our average class size for a studio course, any of our practice-based courses, we try to limit that to 20 students in a studio, both for health and safety purposes, but also we find it's the best mix where a teacher will really understand every student's practice by the end of the semester. And everybody, we don't give like the same approach to every student. We'll have a different particular approach to each student, depending on their particular interests, and help them to develop their own individual practice. So 20 students, we feel, is a kind of a maximum where we can have that engagement in the classroom. 41 for a theory, like a lecture-based theory course, which is similar to this dynamic. It's more of a conversational situation where we have some presenting, some slides, and then conversation throughout that. So 41, that's quite comfortable also. There's programs where you might have more than 100 students in a presentation. That would be difficult for us to manage meaningfully, we think. So gender, as I mentioned before, the student mix is 15% male, 85% female. That's been typical since the program has been here. It's a cultural thing, we think. It's quite similar internationally. You will find mostly female in visual art programs in most countries around the world. For me, 85% is very high, but it's been that way since I came to Hong Kong. So I guess that's just the way it is. Exit GPA this is the average exit GPA is 3.07, which is, it's quite healthy as an average. It's a kind of it's a high B, which you may feel like it's low, but actually as an average, that's quite high. So in terms of QA, we feel that's quite high, and we always scrutinize that. We make sure that the grades that students are getting are earned, so we don't have grade inflation. So it's quite good, but we can confirm that that is a genuine grade in this case through our quality assurance mechanisms. In terms of non-major courses, I mentioned this earlier, these are the GE and university core courses where students are required to take 9 units of university core courses and 22 units of general education courses. These general education courses, they may be a case where a visual arts student is very interested in history and wants to make a project that is related to history. So they may take history GE courses. They may be interested in philosophy, and they may take GE courses in those areas to consolidate their practice. They may be interested in pursuing a minor degree, and that's very much an option with the GE and the university core courses. So they may choose to take a minor in a different area of practice to consolidate their learning, make themselves more flexible as a professional outside the program. The free electives offer students the opportunity to complete a minor with only 15 dedicated credits. That's a little complicated. Basically, if a student takes the final 3 units for their minor, which coincides as a 3-unit GE capstone course, they can actually double count that. 3 units for GE and 3 units for the minor. That's a good trick, actually. You might use that later. And students are also encouraged to take additional visual art courses with free electives. So we have 31 units of free electives. These are units where the students may select from different programs which courses they wish to take. We highly recommend that they take additional VA courses, visual art programs, to really round out their learning. In terms of extracurricular and activities and study exchange, we have international exchange programs. We encourage all of our year 1 entry students to go on exchange. We have program partners internationally, currently in Australia, Canada, China, Germany, Iceland, Italy, Japan, South Korea, Sweden, Switzerland, Taiwan, in the UK, and in the USA. So these are programs where we have a close connection. We have a partnership where we send our students to study in these places for 1 semester. There is a requirement for a minimum CGPA. So if a student is not doing so well academically, we will not encourage them to go on exchange. We'll encourage them to stay and improve their academic performance. But overall, if you're doing pretty well, you'll be fine to go. And this is something we strongly encourage. International experience is very important. In terms of, we encourage students to go and experience international exhibitions. We have a shared campus program where we share summer study courses with different institutions every year, both here in Hong Kong and in other cities around the world where our students can participate. We have summer study trips that we organize periodically. This summer, 20 students went to Berlin on a summer study trip that luckily we could fully cover the cost of that this year. We can't every year, but we could this year, and we're very happy to do that. So 2 of our teachers went on a study trip looking at museums and galleries in Berlin with 20 students. We also have artist residencies that we encourage students to apply for, creative entrepreneurship program, and we have work experiences. All of our students are required to take a non-credit bearing work experience before their year 3. And this is where we encourage them to take to get some industry experience in an area that they're interested in. It could be interning in a gallery or a museum. It could be a curatorial assistant in a gallery or museum. It could be an artist assistant. Let's say they're really interested in photography. They could get some work experience as a studio or lab assistant to a photographer and learn those professional skills that way. In terms of career prospects, this is from our latest surveys, just a general overview, but it captures general tendencies. From the last cohort of graduates, 60.75 had secured full-time equivalent jobs, 18% self-employed, 2.8 self-employed or part-time employed, 13.9 pursued further studies. This will be postgraduate, MA, MFA, PhD in some cases, and 43.8% entered the commerce industry sector. So these are general sectors that our students tend to enter. 16.92 in education and 7.6 in community and social services. And the average first monthly salary from 2024 was 17K-ish. which is healthy enough for a first-time job. Sometimes parents are a bit worried about the career prospects for our graduates. This is why we have this information here. So our students often, if they want to be artists, basically, most of our students continue to do that in the studio and have subsistence work. It might be teaching art courses, teaching in secondary schools. It could be working in a gallery as a professional there. So there's many different ways. A lot of our students manage to fully fund professional arts career. So I'm going to move on to the admissions part. I see we have 40 minutes this year. We usually have 1 hour, and I'm really close for time. So I'm going to start speeding up a little. But again, just some examples of the outcome from our last grad show. Again, these are representing bodies of work that our students develop as their honors project outcome. So here we have a nice body of paintings. This is a student canvas. We're very interested in illustration, more kind of childish motifs, childlike motifs, I would say, very kind of joyous, joyful work. But they're also incredibly sophisticated as paintings. And this is something she learns through the program. She can make a work that's quite instantly appealing, but also as a painting in terms of the surface quality and the treatment and the craft of painting are also exceptional paintings. Here's a body of work by another student, Kayla, self-portraits in this case. These are quite large paintings. This is an example of work kind of cross-disciplinary work. This is ceramics and installation and technology. There's flowing water going into these vessels in this case. Installation. This is another installation. This is the sound installation in a part of our historical campus in Kai Tak. This is the bomb shelter, actually, from the RAF art. And this was a fantastic use of this space. I think it's the best use of this space I've seen, actually, in my years here. She created an immersive environment that was consisted of sound and visuals and moving water. Here we have a work by Yu. This is a beautiful work, an installation where, again, a really nice example of how our students learn in our program. Yu was really focused on media art. He developed a really sensitive practice in media art. He also took courses in painting and drawing, where he brought his learning in media art into his painting and drawing studio, and then started to make work that I would say is using technology, but in a very painterly way. A very beautiful installation where you have a work that's it's digital, it's installation, but it also speaks to traditions of painting. And this is where our kind of contextual learning really comes in, where students understand that history and bring new possibilities into new technologies. Again, the work is coming from our grad show. Every year we have a website that our students develop themselves. Our students organize and run our grad show very professionally every year. This is where they gain professional experience in running a very large and ambitious event. We turn our campus in Kai Tak into an exhibition space where last year we had over 130 students exhibiting in the space. So quite an interesting exhibition opportunity for our students, but also a great showcase of our program. So this is the QR code for the website of last year's grad show, where you will see many more examples, as I said, over 130 of the possible outcome from our program. So in terms of admission information, this is probably why most of you are here. So sorry for sitting you through all the rest of it. Basically, we're a quite broad-based admissions. We encourage students from all backgrounds. Our main routes are Hong Kong qualifications, like HKDSE, and we have international qualifications, IB, GCE, SAT, JEE, and others, as recognized by HKBU. We also have special admission schemes, the School Nomination Direct Admission Scheme and the Student with Exceptional Talent Direct Admission Scheme. This is where we hope to capture exceptional students who may not have done so well academically, that we may not have been so competitive. So this is a case where your school can nominate you as a school nominated, or if you want to self-nominate as special talent, you can bypass the academic score in that route. So, but make sure that you have the special talent that you can demonstrate, like you showcased your work in some major platform, like a major exhibition, or you've been recognized in some way. The general HKBU general entry requirements, best 5 subjects, so it's the average of your best 5 subjects. And AVA requirements are academic score and AVA admission exercise 50-50. The reason for that is that we don't simply just want students who have done well academically in the DSE. We want students who have great potential as visual artists. So we try to judge that potential through our admissions exercises. And then we balance that 50% academic score, 50% admission score. So how well do you do in the practical exercise? How well do you do in your portfolio marking? How well do you do in your interview? You could do exceptionally well in this and maybe okay la in your DSE, but then combined together, you could have a score, overall score that will get you into the academy. And it's not great for us for our reporting, actually. It means our average DSE score is lower than other programs, but it means that we're targeting students based on the skills that we really want to attract here. So it's a kind of a compromise from AVA, but it's a compromise we do meaningfully because we want the best talent in terms of visual arts. So the way that works out is that we have particular parts of the admission exercise, and to assess the creative talents of applicants to the BA program, we require all applicants to take part in our admissions exercise, which provides applicants with the opportunity to demonstrate their potential for pursuing a career in the visual arts. That is really difficult. How do you demonstrate potential, future potential? We can't tell the future. We try in our admissions exercise, essentially. So we want to see what you're doing now, what you've done in the past, and also what you might do in the future. So our admissions exercises are designed to capture that. We have three main parts. We have the portfolio review, where we ask all applicants to submit a portfolio, and then we mark the portfolio based on very specific criteria. And then we shortlist from that first round the applicants who we will invite for an interview. All students invited for an interview will be required to submit a portfolio, and that will consist of 5 examples of previous work and a short written self-introduction, 100 words. Really simple. We used to have a written part, and I just got rid of it when ChatGPT came in, because we just could not be dealing with trying to figure that out. But we also thought it's better to see one more creative work and also to have just an honest presentation rather than trying to write something academically meaningful. So with the practical exercise, we have idea finding, making, and reflection. So with that, we will give you an instruction. Every year we give a different instruction. We like to keep it quite general. So last year we used the instruction of time in one of our exercises. So we give you the prompt. We ask you to spend, I think it's 6 to 7 days making, or maybe it's a little longer. I'll need to check. I'll check later. And we ask you to make work responding to that prompt. So that way we get a benchmark. We know how everybody does in the same period of time. So we have a kind of equalization there. So we also have an interview where all participants of the creative practical exercise will be invited for a 15-minute individual interview with a panel of 2 AVA teachers and 1 student representative. AVA teachers will do the marking, and the student representative is there just to help the procedure. Basically, if the applicant is a little shy, the student helper might help them make it feel a little bit more comfortable. So in terms of assessment criteria, by the way, we have another presentation immediately following this for 20 minutes. I will stay here to answer any specific questions about this. I'm sure you'll have many. We grade this based on creativity and wealth of ideas, on capability to develop creative solutions, on capability to present personal creative ideas. It's all well and good if you can make great work. And we're actually quite forgiving. We're not an English language program, but we do teach through the medium of English. So you must be able to communicate at least sufficiently in the interview. But we're not going to grade your grammar in this case. We're just going to consider your ability to learn through the English language. But again, we're not an English program. So if your English is not, to your mind, perfect, it should be fine so long as we can understand you and you have good ideas. What we judge to be good ideas. Personal dedication. So we want to see someone who has, if you tell us you're interested in visual art, we will expect that you go to see exhibitions, that you make works of visual art quite regularly in a sketchbook or a notebook or other things. So we would like to see that in the interview. So a top tip would be to bring some sketchbooks. So we ask you to bring, in the portfolio, we ask you to show 5 previous examples of your creative practice. And with that, I would give a strong recommendation. Maybe diversify. In the past, maybe up to like 3 or 4 years ago, it was quite common that every single applicant would show the 5 acrylic paintings they submitted for DSE. Now, I would say that's not a good idea at all. First of all, our criteria is going to be very different to the DSE criteria. And if you show like different versions of a very similar thing, it doesn't show a very good range. So I would say definitely bring examples of your favorite type of work, but bring other examples. It might be something quite experimental that doesn't look good, but might be really interesting conceptually. And actually, we might find that a bit more interesting. We often flick through your sketchbooks during the interview, and we might find a little sketch, a little drawing, a little note to yourself, like even in writing, that might strike us as quite interesting, that might show an unusual or unique point of view or way of thinking. And we might actually focus on that and spend most of the interview talking about that. So bring like what you consider to be good finished works, but also bring sketchbooks and notebooks that give a good overview of your creative thought process and your potential creativity. We also asked for 100 to 300 word self-introduction. Don't ask any bots, just write about yourself. Introduce yourself. Why do you want to study visual art? You know, what do you do currently and what do you hope to do in the future? It's that simple. We don't grade that so much as we use that as an introduction to you. In terms of the admission timeline, this will be important information for you. So for the JUPAS route, we'll have our portfolio briefing on the 25th of February, 2026. This will be an online briefing. I will present it. So it'll be basically some additional information on developing a portfolio. Portfolios, there's a kind of, I won't say there's a standard way to develop a portfolio, but there's a general way to do it. I might give some further hints and tips on what we might want to look for in our visual art program in that briefing. So if you are going to apply, I'd recommend you attend that one. We have the portfolio submission deadline currently scheduled for the 11th of May. We'll have the practical homework from the 5th to the 11th of May. So that's that prompt where last year we gave the word time and we asked students to make a work responding to time. To me, the most boring response was when people made a drawing of a clock. Really tedious and not very interesting conceptually, but actually a lot of people did that. But we, in marking it, we found the ones that maybe taught conceptually about time. Maybe don't make a drawing, maybe make a work of sound art that has duration in it. Maybe make moving image work that has duration in it. Or maybe if you're going to make a, let's say, traditional two-dimensional work, well, maybe think of it more conceptually rather than representing a clock that represents concept time. That's a quite direct way to do it. So we're being a little bit tricky with our prompts. We give a prompt that could be approached very directly or could be approached very interestingly and conceptually. So it's a kind of a test, basically. Then, so the interview will be the 18th to the 24th of June for first round and then 27th of July for second round. For non-JUPAS, the portfolio briefing will be the 14th of January and the deadline for portfolio submission, 28th of January. Practical homework, the 12th to the 24th of February for non-JUPAS, and interview 2nd to the 5th of March and the 17th of June for further round. If we will have a further round in JUPAS, we will decide later. JUPAS admission mean score. This is the average JUPAS admission mean score. I did say we have 50% academic, 50%. Where did your score fit on? Okay, we have, I'm not going to point at anybody in this room, but it's just been shared that one of our year one students had a JUPAS mean score of 18 and are currently in our program. So they must have done really well in the interview. And that's a nice example where I can attest that they're doing really well in their classes at the moment that I'm teaching. So things are going well so far for that student. But that's a good example where like talent as opposed to academic achievement. Academic achievement is judged in different ways. So this is how we try to judge the students who we think will excel in this area and will make potential great artists or designers. So this is the average through the years. It fluctuates. I thought it would be a little higher last year, actually. So I'm a little disappointed, but hey, it means that we have really good talent as opposed to really good academic performance. We have scholarship scheme. It's not terribly generous, but it's there. But we like to reward our better achieving incoming students. So this is our scholarship for local students admitted in the program. HKDSE's candidates who meet the criteria would be awarded 1,000 for each 5-star subject score, respectively. Please stay back and ask me more questions about that later. That's not entirely clear. Another example of a previous work by one of our graduates from 2 years ago, and also an opportunity to say thank you for joining.